Okay, so tonight we are going to be looking at challenges. I've got 10 clips that all came from the Women's World Cup this past summer, and all have to do with challenges that are varying degrees of difficult to understand. So before we get into watching them, I want to give everybody just the considerations we're going to be using this evening. These are the only considerations I want you to use tonight as we're talking about what level of misconduct, if any, we feel is appropriate from the clips that we're going to see. So the first is force. There's two things in there that I want you to think about: how much speed is involved in the challenge, and also what's the nature of the force. Is it a glancing contact or is it full impact? Did they make a full impact on the opponent's body, or was the nature of the contact glancing? Point of contact, hopefully you've heard that from me before. Point of contact is where on the body of the person who received the foul was hit. Again, so if point of contact, we mean where on the body of the person who was fouled did it happen. Mode of contact means what part of the body did the person committing the foul use to make contact. So a nice, easy way to think about this is if I punch you in the face, the point of contact is your face, the mode of contact is my fist. So if I punch you in the face, the point of contact is where on your body that happened, your face, and the mode is my fist. Those are important because sometimes you make mode of contact is a soft surface. Sometimes it's a hard surface. The endangering the safety of an opponent decision can come based on, was it a hard part of the body that was used or a soft part of the body that was used, and where on the body was that foul committed. So point of contact, mode of contact, shape of the body. This is a somewhat new terminology that we're starting to use at the professional level that indicates a straight leg, a bent leg, was the arm fully extended, etc. So what shape of the body what shape was the body when contact was made? And then lastly, what ability was there to play the ball? Was the ball right there in close proximity to the challenge, or did the challenge come on the right foot when the ball was on the left foot and there's no ability to play the ball? So I want you to take a moment, screenshot that, take a picture of it, whatever you want to do, because I'm going to ask as we go through this evening now that any and all comments as we look at clips revert back to one of these 5 considerations, and only these 5 considerations. We're trying to make it a little easier to narrow our decision making, and also these considerations can be verbiage that you use out on the field when explaining to a player or a coach your decision. More often than not, if you can explain to a coach using these considerations why you made the decision that you did, it will help them to understand or at least accept the decision more easily. Okay, so I'm going to leave it up there for a couple of seconds before I take it down to make sure that you can refer back to this during this call or write it down, whatever you need to do. Okay, I'm going to clear us off of this now and go over to our clips. All right, here is our first clip. We'll get a replay. One more time. I'll fast forward this time to get us to the replays. Watch it in real time. All right, and then we go to the replays. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is launch a poll, and I'm curious how everybody feels about this challenge. About 15 more seconds. Get your vote in. Okay. Now, using the chat feature, this is where we're going to experiment a little bit this evening. Using the chat feature, only if you voted for no foul, please comment in the chat feature why you had no foul. If you voted for something else, please hold off on any comments. Only if you voted for no foul, please use the chat feature and type why you wanted no foul here. Anybody want to volunteer? Okay. Now we're going to pause. For people who said just careless foul only, but no card, please comment as to why. Why did you have just a careless foul here, but no card? Use the comment feature if you don't mind, please, or the chat feature. Make sure your comments that you're making are to all panelists and to all attendees so that everybody can read the comments. When you're making your comment, please choose all panelists and attendees. All right. And then lastly, if you voted yellow card for reckless challenge, please use the chat feature. And again, choose all panelists and attendees so everybody can read it. And comment as to why you thought this was a yellow card. Few more seconds. All right, so what I'm going to do now is share the results so everybody can see where we came out. 17% say no foul, 63% have careless foul only, and 19% have a yellow card, and we had one person who voted for a red card. That's an aggressive referee right there. So some considerations now to think through. And again, I'm going to bring us back to the original 5 considerations that we had on the PowerPoint here. And yes, somebody commented referee abuse. I just forgot to change the top of the slide, so disregard that. I did a file save as. So anyway, force, point of contact, mode of contact, shape of body, and ability to play ball. So as we analyze this clip, we're going to talk about those things. So we're going to talk first about the amount of force. So let's look at the amount of force that's involved here. And we have to watch this in real time to be able to see it. The player reaches out while she's running and steps on the top of the foot, perhaps the lower ankle of the opponent. Because she's running forward, because she lunges with her body out, it ends up being a stomping motion onto the foot. A couple of people commented that this white player put herself in that position and that's thus caused herself to be stepped on. We need to get ourselves out of that thinking. This white player had every right to put her foot in there. She put her foot in there and played the ball, so the white player is guilty of nothing here. She kicks the ball away. The blue player gets there late, steps on the foot. So at minimum, folks, this needs to be a foul because this is unfair contact. Stepping on somebody's foot is unfair contact, and this blue player never played the ball. So it's not legal to use your feet to step on people when you're not playing the ball. Some would argue it's not legal to do it even if you do play the ball. But regardless, this has to be a foul because this is a stomping motion, a stepping motion. This is unfair contact to the player in white, even if it was done accidental. And I understand this is definitely accidental. She's reading for the ball, no problem. The other thing we can't take into consideration, and I saw 4 or 5 people make this comment, the intent of the player. We almost never look at intent when we're trying to decide what, if any, misconduct we want to give or if something's a foul. What they intended to do is irrelevant. So I've heard people say, well, you know, she didn't mean to elbow her in the face. I know she broke her nose, but she didn't mean to elbow her in the face, so it's only a yellow card. Well, A, we can never know that. And B, the intent should not factor into our decision. It's what actually happened. What actually happened, not what the player intended to have happen here. So clearly this player did not intend to step on the foot, but that is irrelevant to our decision-making process. She steps on the foot, it needs to be a clear foul. So the distinction we need to make now with this clip is if it's yes, it's a foul, do we need any misconduct? And a number of people said this was just accidental, it's just a step on the foot, et cetera, as why they had just a careless foul and not the yellow card. So again, we don't want to, we're going to throw intent out of there. Intent is irrelevant. We're going to talk just about the considerations. How much force is there? There's not a lot of force. There's a moderate amount, I would say, but not a lot. Because, yeah, she's just running. She reaches out. She steps down. The ground is going to absorb a lot of the force here. So force definitely is not high. It's not nothing, but it's not high. The point of contact is the top of the foot. The mode of contact, meaning the part of the blue player making contact, is with the studs. Now, that's a consideration that is going to be something we need to think about and talk about. Anytime a player makes contact with the opponent using the studs, we need to be thinking about escalating our potential misconduct. So if there's the use of the studs but not a lot of force, then we can be thinking about yellow card. If there's a lot of force and the studs, now we need to be thinking about red card. But we also need to be thinking about point of contact. Here, the top of the foot is a relatively safe space to make contact. It's not going to feel good, but it's not going to endanger the safety of the opponent. The top of the foot is a harder surface. It can withstand more contact. If this same level of contact here with the studs happens with the ankle or the Achilles, something that can bend or break, now we have a little bit more of a problem. So if this same stomping motion or stepping motion, whatever you want to call it, comes just a little higher up on this white player's leg here and gets the ankle, we may be thinking about endangering the safety of the opponent because of the point of contact. But here, the point of contact is to the top of the foot. It's made with the studs. So the answer from FIFA on this one is we want to see a yellow card here for a reckless challenge. Again, because of primarily the mode of contact. When an opponent makes contact with a player's studs, we have to be concerned about that. And this player here makes a stepping motion and steps onto the foot. We had a comment here that this is actually on the ankle. I'm going to disagree with that because you can see it on the next replay. It's right on the top of the foot. The ankle is clearly exposed here. There's nothing on the ankle. It's right onto the top of the foot. So caution is expected here, primarily, again, going back to the use of the considerations because of the mode of contact. Anytime a player is using the studs, we have to be thinking about that. So naturally, the first question we get, which is a very understandable question, is, so are we saying anytime there's illegal contact with the studs, no matter how much force, it is automatically yellow, if not a red card? The answer to that is no. Stepping on someone's toes as you walk by on accident, meaning if you're just walking or you're backpedaling and you don't notice and you step on someone's big toe, do we want to give a yellow card for that? Of course not. But if someone uses the full studs when making a challenge, as this player did, and makes full contact like that, then yes. If they use the studs with this kind of contact, yes, we need to be thinking about a yellow card. Now, force and point of contact are the two factors that would maybe escalate this from yellow card to red card. Again, if there's a lot more force with this challenge, or if this challenge is made in this same kind of motion, but up here on the ankle that could potentially break that ankle, then now we're thinking about maybe a red card. But so it's important when we're thinking about red cards that we're thinking about, did this player endanger the safety of the opponent? Was the force enough? Was the mode of contact enough? And was the point of contact enough to think we need to have a red card here? So we have a question here. I work mostly with U13 and younger. Would a yellow card still be appropriate? My answer to that is yes, for a couple of reasons. One, at that age group, they still need to be learning what fair and unfair challenges look and feel like. And if you allow them to get away with it, they don't learn that lesson. The second thing, and this comes just more from a match control perspective, is if you've got 12-year-olds running around committing challenges like this and there's no repercussions for them, they'll continue to do it. And so in soccer, in refereeing, there's a term, frankly, it's a term in life, but it works really well with refereeing. That which you allow, you encourage. That which you allow, you encourage. And so if you allow something to happen on the field, you're encouraging it to happen more and more and more. So there are a couple people have asked here what card was given to this player in the game. I'm going to stop us there and say we don't ask that question when we're doing clip review. When we're doing clip review, the point of it is to learn from the nature of the challenge, not to analyze or evaluate or criticize the referee for the decision they made in the game, particularly when we're looking at clips from, the World Cup. So that's important, right? So in this, we have to make sure that we're not looking at the clip or from a perspective of what did the referee do, and instead say, hey, what can we learn from this clip? What should we do in the future? So when you're doing clip analysis, let's not focus on what the referee did in the game. There's a more nuanced answer to that. This was at a World Cup. There are different levels to what referees are expected to do as far as, showing yellow cards or red cards, whatever. In this specific game, this player was already sitting on a yellow card. And so do we give a second yellow and send this player off? At the World Cup, the answer to that is going to be different than in a U13 game or in an adult game somewhere. So that's why we don't talk about what this referee did in this game, because her guidance at this level is going to be different than what our guidance would be at the adult level or at the youth level. So that's a more nuanced answer than we needed. But either way, that's one clip. Good discussion. Thank you, everybody. And we'll go on. For those of you that came late, and again, I apologize for this, the voice you're hearing, my name is Matt Buckman. We've got some new people on the call. That's who I am. And for those of you that joined after we started watching this first clip, there was a survey to vote on to make a decision. You'll get it when we watch the next clip. So moving on to our next clip. Here we go. I'm gonna watch it one more time. This one, if your screen's jumpy at all, I'll do my best to freeze frame it, but it's a difficult little thing to catch here. All right. One more time here, and I'm going to try to freeze frame it at the moment that we're the most worried about. So that's the moment of truth. So the thing we need to think about here before we vote is, I showed you the moment of truth. That's what we're worried about. But now let's go back and watch it in real time again. One last time. Okay. I'm going to go back to our moment of truth if I can. Great. All right. So for those of you that joined us late, here are the considerations we want to be using: force, speed, glancing versus impact, full impact, point of contact, mode of contact, shape of body, and ability to play the ball. All right. Those are the considerations we want to be looking at. Now, let's have a look at this. Let's see what everybody has here. Nobody wants to vote? All right, let me see. I launched it. I'm not sure what happened here. Give me just a second. Thanks for letting me know, folks. Can you guys see it now? All right, great, perfect, thank you. Sorry about that, guys. Don't know what happened. A few more seconds. Guys, we don't need to comment in the chat feature, please. Just make your vote. All right. So just about everybody here has a card of some kind, so I'm going to skip the part where we talk about why this is just a careless foul. Using the chat feature, if you voted for a yellow card, please provide the considerations as to why you voted for a yellow card here. All right, couple more seconds for anybody who voted yellow. All right, now, if you voted yellow, please pause. For those of you who voted for a red card, let's hear some of the considerations as to why. A couple more seconds here. All right, so I'm going to share with you, and reading all the comments here, one in particular that I thought was really good. So please, everybody, stop using the chat feature for a moment, please. No more comments. Okay. Here's a really great analysis that I saw from here. Glancing force tends to pull out of the challenge, but is still reckless as she leads with the studs. Good analysis there. And here's another one that I thought was good. Now, the first person here thought yellow. The second person here thought red. Point of contact is high above the shin guard. Mode is the studs. Shape is lunging. So when we say let's use the considerations to frame our discussion, these are the kind of comments we want to see. I'm seeing people say things like, let me find one that I saw here. Cleats up, reckless and above the knee, potential injury. That doesn't say anything about the considerations. Red card, extremely dangerous play, studs out, leg out. That doesn't have anything to do with the considerations. So look at these two examples that I put down, that I copied and pasted into the chat. Those are really good analyses. Now, there are arguments for either way, yellow card and red card. So the first one is suggesting yellow card because it's glancing force and she pulls out of the challenge, but still reckless as she leads with the studs. That's a good breakdown of this play. Red card, nearly full impact. Point of contact is high above the shin guard. Mode is studs. Shape is lunging. Really, really good analysis. Both of these are really good reads on this, and this is a very difficult clip. I'm going to share the results really quickly so we see where most of us sorted out. We had 10% say this is just a careless foul. Folks, if you ever see, as we talked about with our last clip, studs into a part of the body, it's very doubtful it's only going to be a careless foul, particularly when it's made in a lunging motion with a straight leg like this. So for those of you that thought careless foul, we need to recognize the nature and the shape of this body going in with the studs towards the knee area. That's got to make us escalate a little bit. So from your votes, what's clear, and this is the discussion point for this clip, is the difference between yellow card and red card. Can everybody see? I have one person said they can't see the results. Can everybody else see them? Use the raise your hand icon if you can see the results from the clip. Great, thank you, everybody. So it might be just something weird, Linda. I'm not sure why everybody else can see them. So the real nuance here, based on our own votes, and this is the point of this clip, is this a yellow card or a red card? And this is not an easy one to get right, and there are great considerations for both. The learning point out of this one is if we're going to send somebody off, all of the check boxes need to be marked off for red card. Okay, so we're going to put that test to ourselves. The point of contact is the knee. Definitely the potential for injury there. So we can say that this challenge possibly endangers the safety of the opponent. So that definitely is a possibility. The mode of contact is the studs. Definitely something to be worried about. The shape of the body, we've got a straight leg, lunging, definitely something to be worried about. Ability to play the ball, definitely there. So the ball's there, it's close by. So we can say the player did have the ability to play the ball. The last one that I'm going to go, and it was really the first one, but I skipped it, is force. we have to ask ourselves, how forceful was this challenge? And there's a terminology that was entered into the laws of the game and the considerations by IFAB about a year ago, referencing glancing contact. So a couple years ago, they gave us considerations that basically said anytime you see studs go into somebody like this, it's a red card. And we did it. And there were a lot of red cards because they said this kind of sticking your studs into somebody, we want to stamp out of the game, no pun intended, and we have to have a red card. The problem was now we started seeing basically anytime studs made contact with somebody, a player was getting sent off, even when there wasn't the potential of an opponent's safety being endangered. And so with that change a year or so ago, they introduced this term called glancing contact. So if you have a player go in and a lot of the other check boxes are met for a potential red card, but the contact, the outcome of the challenge was just glancing contact, it means we probably didn't see that player's safety be endangered, and we don't want to go with a red card. So in this scenario, this contact is glancing. Yes, the player lunges with the studs out, but as she makes the contact, and I'll replay this once we get to the end of it, once she makes the contact, or when she actually makes it, it's as her foot is coming down. She's lunged out, she's tried to reach it, now her foot is moving towards the ground, and the contact she makes with the knee actually just sort of scrapes it. It doesn't feel good, don't get me wrong. It's absolutely reckless in nature, but it doesn't actually endanger the safety of the opponent because the amount of force in this is actually negligible because it's glancing contact. So as a result, the answer on this one is we want to see a yellow card here for a reckless challenge, with the only reason being that the contact here was glancing. Now, if we move this foot over 2 inches and she just buries those studs into the top of the knee, 100% we send this player off for endangering the safety of the opponent. But as you can see, when we watch it in real time again and we watch the replays, you'll see the foot sort of glances off the knee and goes to the side. The leg of the opponent, number 11, doesn't buckle at all. It doesn't feel good, but her safety has not been endangered. So I'm going to pull the poll off the screen here and go back and let us watch this again now that we've analyzed it. Watch the speed here. She's not running incredibly fast. She just reaches out. And as you can see, goes down. The important thing here is watch the foot as the contact happens. It's moving in a downward motion. She's already at the she's reached out as far as she can go. There's no more force moving the body forward. And now she just scrapes down the leg. And you can see it here. She just glances past. The studs are already out of the way now. So yeah, she glanced her knee. The difference here that we would need to see for a red card is if these studs got full on impacted into the leg. If she just plants those studs, all 6 of them, into the knee area and follows through, yeah, no problem. We send this player off. But because it just sort of glances by, we just have a yellow card. Any questions on that analysis from anybody? We had a question here, what are the studs? Those are the cleats. So the cleats on the bottom of the shoe, we call those studs. Any other questions on this analysis of this clip? All right, then I'm going to move us on to our next one. Now that's playing in the rain. I'm going to give you that last replay one more time because that's really the best replay for us. We'll watch it in real time one more time. Remember, when we're discussing things that have to do with force, we always want to watch it in real time because it's going to give us a good sense of the speed of it. All right, watched it enough times. That's the moment of truth. Let's have our poll. Let me know if you can't see the poll. I'm launching it now. About 15 more seconds. Get your votes in. All right. This is going to be a fun discussion. I have a feeling this is going to be our last clip of the evening. So for those of you using the chat feature, please, if you are commenting now, please stop. Please stop commenting right now. For those of you who had no foul, please provide your rationale for no foul. For those of you who voted no foul, please indicate why you don't think you have a foul here. Nobody wants to comment. Okay, we got a couple. Okay, a couple comments here. Great. For those of you who say this is just a careless foul, please give us your comments. For those who had just careless foul, I'm seeing people who are saying yellow card. If you had careless foul only, no card, please put your comments. All right. Stop with our comments now. Anybody who had yellow card, please make a comment. All right. And for those of you who had red card, please comment as to why you had red card. Okay. So as you can see, I hope everybody's able to read all these. We had a wide variety of descriptions of what happened here. This is one of my favorite clips to look at, actually. We can talk about this for quite a while because of all the various components that are present. So if everybody would please stop commenting now so I can go back and read them and talk about them a little bit. All right, so we had some people who took the first position of the yellow player has played the ball here, therefore she cannot be guilty of an offense. I would like to dispel that rumor right away. There's a sentence written into the laws of the game or the considerations. I can't remember which one, or it's possibly both now, that says a player is not allowed to make unfair contact with an opponent after playing the ball. Making unfair contact with an opponent after playing the ball means you are guilty of an offense. So what that means for us is getting the ball, playing the ball first, which we hear a lot on the soccer field, actually doesn't mean anything if you make unfair contact with the opponent before or after doing it. Now, I want to make sure that we understand the difference between fair and unfair. If a player slide tackles, wins the ball, and a player just stumbles over the top of their outstretched leg afterwards, no problem whatsoever. But here we have a player who, after kicking the ball away, plants her studs into the foot and or ankle of an opponent. This right here, we need to consider unfair contact. This is not fair contact. So regardless of the ball being played, which yes, the yellow player does play the ball first, and that's important to notice. She does play the ball first, as you can see right there. She just kicked the ball away, but then she makes that contact, and that contact right there is unfair. So per the laws of the game, no matter if you get the ball first or not, if you make unfair contact with the opponent, it's a foul. So I'm going to share the results. This is an interesting clip for us to talk about. 31% say careless, 39% say yellow card, 20% say red card. So we are all over the place on this one, which I think is fun for us to discuss. So a couple of things, some other comments. I'm going to stop sharing this now to get it out of the way. A couple of other comments we saw. The red player moved into the yellow player's space after she was already making that challenge. Therefore, it's the red player's fault that she got stuck in the ankle with some studs. So again, I want to reemphasize, just like with the first clip that we watched, this red player has the right to run just about anywhere on the field, and the ball's in close proximity, and she's trying to put her foot on it. There's nothing wrong with this red player trying to do this. She has every right to put her body into this position. So what we have to ask ourselves then is, if this red player ends up with the opponent's studs into her leg, and she had every right to be there to try to win this ball, is this person, number 6 in yellow, at all guilty for causing those studs going into the leg? And that's where we have to then analyze the nature of the challenge. So we have a straight leg lunging or reaching for the ball with the studs exposed. The ball is absolutely in playing distance, but unfortunately for this player in yellow, the player in red is also in playing distance. And so she jumps into this tackle, she wins the ball, but she's committed the tackle in a way that causes her follow through to put studs into the ankle of the opponent, which is unfair. So now that we've decided, yes, this is unfair for the player to have done this, now we have to go and we have to look at our considerations that we talked about. So how much force is there? There's a moderate amount of force in this challenge. It's not excessive, but it's a moderate amount of force. What's the point of contact? It's into the ankle, low on the body. What's the mode of contact? It is the studs. What's the shape of the body? That's where we get to be an important thing. At the moment that we all think, uh-oh, this is a problem, we're seeing a straight leg. And we would oftentimes think, uh-oh, this is going to be something more serious. But if you look when she makes contact, she has bent her leg. That bending of the leg is crucial, because had she not bent the leg, if she'd have left that leg locked, then she would have blown straight through this player instead of being stopped by the player. So as you can see here, because she bent her leg, the stud doesn't follow through the leg of the opponent. Instead, she stops. That's crucial indicator for the amount of force involved in this challenge. Because if she hadn't bent her leg here, very, very likely she breaks this player's leg. Because she's coming with enough force that if she doesn't bend that leg and allow her body to absorb the force instead of the opponent's body, she goes flying through this challenge. You can see when you watch the rest of this replay, watch how far this leg ends up sliding. At the moment of contact, it's there. It slides another, probably almost a yard. That's how fast she was going. So imagine if she'd gone through with that amount of force, where that foot would have ended up if she'd have kept it straight. It ended up over here. That's the key difference in this clip, is because she bends her leg just ever so slightly at the moment of contact, now as her body comes forward, you can see she actually pulls the leg out. You can see her cleat recoil a little bit. Right there, she pulls it back. That is a player who is guilty of a reckless challenge and should be shown a caution, but has not endangered the safety of the opponent by using excessive force with studs to a dangerous part of the body. So that's the analysis that we want to see being used here as much as possible. We can guess this a little bit by watching what the body does after the challenge. If that foot goes all the way through the leg and keeps on going, this player's leg is going to swing out to the side and she's going to be hurt, and this yellow player is going to fly on through. But because that leg bends, we don't have near the force, which means we just have a reckless challenge here. So we had a couple people talk about the rain. Yes, but we don't think about those parts of the consideration. The rain is irrelevant here. We could argue this player probably shouldn't have committed this challenge in the rain, but that's not our business. Because at the end of the day, if she commits this challenge and slides right on by the opponent without touching her, we don't have a problem whatsoever. The only reason this becomes a problem is because she plants that stud into the ankle. If she slides across the player and the red player falls forward over her, because she made contact with the back of the calf or something like that, then we're not even calling a foul. Because the contact from yellow to red would not have been, the yellow player to the red player would not have been unfair. This is unfair, and that's why we have to sanction it. So we have a comment here, since most of us don't have VAR, this would be really hard to decide. No, actually it's not. I got this right on my first try without looking at the replay. And again, it's because I have studied a lot of clips. And if you study a lot of clips, what your eyes will immediately see is the leg is bent. When she makes the contact and when the contact ends, her leg is bent. I can show you plenty of clips where a player doesn't bend this leg and flies right on through the tackle. And we can see that with our naked eye very, very easily, but it has to do with training your eyes to understand what to look for. And this right here, this bent leg, is a crucial thing to look for in real time. And you can see it in real time. You can watch it when I show it here. I don't know, your video might be too spotty, but you can see in real time that she bends the leg. You watch it in real time, she bends the leg. The leg recoils. She doesn't follow through. So you just have to train your eye to look for those things, to know what the considerations are, and to be looking for them. So we had a request for one more clip. I'll go ahead and pull one up. Oh, this is a good one too. All right, here we go. Watch that one more time. I'll try to pause it a couple times during the contact. So let's watch it one more time. I'm going to let you watch it one more time so you get the sense of the speed of this one. All right, so here comes the poll. About 15 more seconds. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share the results on this one since we want to move through this clip a little bit more quickly. We have 62% saying that this is a yellow card, and we have 28% saying that this is a red card. So without having you guys type all your considerations, since we're getting close to the end of our hour, I will just walk us through what we need to be thinking about. So not dissimilar to the second clip that we saw, this contact comes to the shin, but is done in a glancing manner. As you can see, it slides down the leg. So while the contact is high, it's also made with the side of the foot. As you can see, her studs are pointed down. Little bit maybe the edge of the foot, hard to tell, but either way, this would be considered glancing contact up here, with the bulk of the contact being the studs to the top of the foot there. And so what we want to be thinking about, again, is our mode of contact and our point of contact. The mode is the studs. The point of contact is mostly the top of the foot. Yeah, it catches the shin guard a little bit, but that's with the side of the foot a touch, and it's definitely done so in a glancing manner. The force is moderate, although edging towards high. She comes in with a little bit more speed, but she doesn't have it. She just sticks the leg out a little bit. She doesn't drive the leg. So I would say this is a moderate amount of force. But the big thing that makes this a yellow card and not a red card is that the contact above the foot that happens initially is just glancing. Yeah, it's certainly not going to feel good, but it's just glancing. She hasn't stuck the studs directly through the leg. You don't see the leg fly backwards or anything like that as the nature of the challenge. Most of this force goes downward onto the top of the foot. And as we learned from the first clip, anytime we have studs onto the top of the foot, we probably are going to want to have a yellow card for that. So there was a question here. She's not trying to play the ball at all. The ball's right there. She just misses it. And if you watch this in real time, it's hard to pick up, but the ball was in one place, and right before the challenge came, the green player flicked it. And so the ball was where she thought it was going to go, but the green player flicks it out of the way and thus leaves the contact. So as you can see right there, you can see the touch. When she goes to lean in, the ball's right there. She's going to try to play it. She just gets there late. So when we talk about ability to play the ball, if the ball's in the general area, which, I mean, this is all right there, she just mistimes it. If the ball's in the general area, then we can say, yeah, there's an ability to play the ball. Now, this is a good example. If this same challenge comes to this foot over here, when the ball's over there, then we can say, yeah, she had no ability to play the ball with making a challenge there. The challenge here, it's close to the ball, but as we can see from the contact that happens, glancing contact to the shin, moderate force with the studs down onto the top of the foot primarily. Those considerations have us going for a yellow card, not a red card. So that's the answer on that one. Thank you as always for participating. We've hit our hour mark. I hope this discussion and this format was fruitful. For those of you that had some choppy videos, I am recording this and it will go up on YouTube. So you can watch these videos on your own on YouTube with a little bit more clarity because it's recording what's happening on my screen. If you're not sure where to find these on YouTube, you can search on YouTube for CNRA and you'll find our channel and you'll find probably 30 or 35 videos we've posted over the last year or so. This one will be up within a couple of days. So thank you, everybody. Continue to stay sane during your shelter in place. And we look forward to a week from tonight when we'll have another one of these discussions with some more clips. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.